Hello everyone, this video is going to be about a few steps you can do to make it so you can stay safe during a recession. First, figure out what you can barely live off of. For example, how much is the lowest you eat in a week? Second, if you have savings or if you do not, please prepare that now. And if you're already having this situation and don't have any savings, well, when turn to start now. First, save it at least, and I'm honestly not going to say 6 months. That's not realistic, especially in this economy. Realistically, save at least $1,000. I know that's going to be difficult. Well, for many people making grocery or retail or anything like that. But if you can do 1,000, or in a major city, $5,000, I think. Basically enough to make it so you can buy food, maybe pay for rent, maybe. But overall, $1,000 will be able to make it so you at least have food, and possibly, if necessary, if you're in the cold or extreme heat, you can get a hotel room for a few days to think on how to do things. If you have a permanent place or you're not worried about losing your apartment or house, second, make sure your savings is in your house or somewhere you trust us, because the banks may be trustworthy, but with how the government is, I'd put a big question mark on that. But overall, I would say this. If you want to save money and put it into the bank, that is fine. But I will say have it split in half, just in case the bank you have goes under and the government doesn't honor the legal thing of $250,000 you are as a right to have if the bank goes under. Third, if you have your savings, now to the emergency supplies you should have in your home, because health insurance is going to look like a luxury at this point in time. Have a first aid kit, understand, and try to be healthy, because being healthy means you don't go to an emergency room. I understand that's not always reasonable, but just try to be as healthy as possible. For example, as much as, yes, I'll be a hypocrite, but while I say this, make sure your space is clean and makes it so you don't get sick. And if that's unavoidable, well, I understand that. But make it so the less risk as possible, and basically try to make sure your situation within your control doesn't get worse. And another fourth way to make sure you're okay: store water, store non-perishable food, just in case the power goes out, because energy bills might go up in the next few months, or if the recession is coming up, well, honestly, you're probably going to need it and put it in your car, just to make it so if you're in the winter or heat, to make it so you don't freeze or boil to death. And fifth, if you lose your job and you get denied unemployment, I will say try a trade. Yes, it might be an upfront cost, but you just need to go to a construction company or any type of apprenticeship program, where basically going to trade school, to my knowledge, I am not a tradesman of any kind. Going to trade school isn't necessary or recommended. If you want to be a plumber, electrician, or basically those two, just ask if you can become an apprentice, because at least if you're an apprentice or trying to become one and take the test, you're making money. Yes, you might not be liking dealing with the weather, but you're still making somewhat decent money, and money in your wallet is better than nothing. And if you do not want to be specialized or do not have any specialized eyes anything, go to a business that is being successful, or basically a small business with one individual who owns it, and basically say they'll do all the you'll say I'll do all the bullshit work, like re-register vehicles, clean windshields, basically all the work no one else wants to do when they have the experience not to do it. Now, if those are not options, I will say food banks might be an option, but during a recession they tend to be overstripped, but they're always an option. And also, soup kitchens are always an option, but, well, I presume many people's pride is terrible, but overall, I believe that is still an option. And if the recession we're going in is not too bad, I'm not 100% sure what will happen in the future, I will say this. Go to your grocery store and budget like nobody's business. My personal rule, because of my personal finances, this is because I don't make much. First, if you're in a family, probably double it or triple it, or basically for every family member, times it by 2. Just as a conservative estimate. I myself, even though this is not enough, but overall I can get a few vegetables and maybe that, but if I really, really wanted just for calorie sake, I would probably be able to make this work. $50 a week, or if you're a group of 2, $150 a week. Yes, that might sound low if you're used to paying $300 a week, but make sure you pace yourself, because if, well, you lose your job or something bad happens with your car, you have to be very careful. And the fact is that, well, if we're in a recession, you very much don't have many choices on if you can budget. And I would say this, budget now, because the more you have the skill to budget, even if you don't need to, makes it so you have the skills when you have to budget. Now, another thing. If you live in a state that doesn't require an inspection, don't do it. Like, yes, sure, be as safe as possible, but if your state doesn't require it, right, don't do it. Unless you do work out of your state and have to work in a state that does require it. Right. Or if you're a home worker, you don't need to worry about that unless you travel a lot. But overall, I would say limit as many expenses as humanly possible and save as much as humanly possible within your comfort levels, or within what you can tolerate. I know this is not a guide that sounds fun at all, but it's what I believe would be realistic in a recession, or the recession we're going to be seeing the barrel of by the end of the year. Anyway, please like and subscribe, and I hope you all are okay. And just for your saving grace, make yourself a goal to make sure you can survive a recession.